I don't know about you, but I wish like reel reviews would start with the simple statement of either this reel sucks or this reel doesn't suck. You guys have asked me a whole bunch about the Daiwa Eliminator spinning reel that I got, so we're going to talk about kind of an after a bunch of uses kind of review. And then I got another reel because I'm redoing all my spinning rods and my finesse stuff, especially for winter as we go into spring. So I need a couple reels. I'm trying to stay in a certain budget price point, which we'll talk about. But guess what? This reel, it doesn't suck either. And we'll talk about why, and we'll talk about some of the features. So stay tuned. If you like reel reviews that tell you whether reels suck or not, you know, kind of straight up reel fishing, make sure to stay tuned, hit that like and subscribe button. Let's get to it. So before we get started, I'd like you guys all to say what's up to Mr. Blog. He is a unicorn today, hanging out, doing his transition stuff. Yes, Vlog is gonna go fishing. The reason actually we're shooting this in the bass cave is because it's freezing out. It actually snowed. It didn't accumulate, but it snowed last night. Vlog got to go tromps around in the snow, which was super cool. And one day I will get to go fishing and catch some bass in the snow. But till then, we're gonna talk about reels and whether they suck. So first things first, as you guys know, let me try not to break this rod tip. I needed some spinning reels, so I went and bought at Tucker Warehouse. I think it's been like about a month and a half, 2 months ago. This is a Daiwa Eliminator. I got the 2500 size because I believe that's the smallest that they offer. 9.3 ounces. I think it's 5+1 roller ball bearing. One of the things I like about it the most is actually this handle. But we did kind of like an unboxing review on it. I've had the opportunity to use it quite a bit in the past like month and a half since I've gotten it. And I kind of wanted to give you guys a follow-up on it because my goal is to always look for price point conscious, like kind of like that sweet spot where you get something really, really decent that has some quality to it, but it's not like unbelievably priced, like $200. Pretty much like kind of something under the Stratic, under that, but you get decent performance, but it's not a Stratic price point wise. And performance-wise, it's almost there, but not quite there. So the Eliminator, I've actually really liked it. The drag is super smooth on it. Castability is awesome. I've actually not even had too many like wind knots on it, which is something that does happen with certain spinning reels based upon the bail. It's not always the bail's fault. Sometimes it's the braid because it gets twisted up in that. But thus far, I really like the Eliminator. I have it on two 610 medium action rods. One I use for drop shotting, shaky head, this finesse little hair jig deal, my little Cumberland Pro, or my little finesse swim bait that I run, that little Kitech, like a 2.8 or a 3.3 on a 1/4 ounce or an 1/8 ounce or something along those lines. So I've used it on pretty finesse techniques. I've run it with 15-pound braid, 8-pound fluorocarbon leader. It's really performed smooth. I haven't caught any super giants on it. I'm gonna be going to Florida in like a month or two, so I'm gonna have the opportunity to like throw maybe like a little small neko rig or something like that, and try to catch some big fish on it, like some 6 and 7 pounders, stack a couple of those up, especially on that offshore stuff, and then I'm really gonna be able to see whether the drag holds up. But thus far, for mostly it's been spotted bass fishing and then some finesse largemouth fishing. It's been awesome. Like I really like it for the price point of $89.99. Now the only kind of negative about it that I'm going to talk about, I'm actually going to talk about with the other one that I got. So let me show you this one. We're going to do a little bit of a real comparison. So I have one more rod. Actually I have two more, but I wanted to try one more Daiwa spinning reel in that kind of sweet price point. To rig up my another spinning and finesse rod that I also use for drop shotting. It's a little longer rod. I like having a short rod for drop shotting, like a 610, and then one that's a little longer, like a 7.3, 7.2, for like longer cast drop shotting versus vertical drop shotting. And then I'll also use that. I'm gonna start playing around with Caleb's float and fly technique, as you guys probably saw in the video, so I can use it for that. It's good to have kind of a little balance, a little shorter spinning rod, a little longer. The shorter stuff is usually for more vertical or kind of like, you know, tight kind of cast area stuff, and the longer gives you a little longer cast, has a little bit different action to it. But in any case, what I did is I got a Daiwa BG. I'll put links to all this stuff down in the description box at Tucker Warehouse. That's where I got this stuff. So the Daiwa BG, let me show it to you real quick. This is it right here. It has a very comparable look to the Eliminator. I think even the framing is pretty much like the same mold. You have that same handle. This is actually one of the things that I like the most is the handle on it. A lot of the higher end Shimano, you have to go to the higher end Shimano to get this kind of handle. For me, I'm a klutz a little bit, so I have trouble grabbing the handle. That's me, dude. Like, if you're perfect, then you're perfect and you can grab the handle when it's not like that. But I miss the handle, so that kind of helps me. It has a little bit different accent. I mean, you know how I roll. I could care less about that kind of stuff. But the big trick is, once again, this has the hard bodies concept. It feels stout. Now, this one comes in at 9.3 ounces. The Eliminator comes in at 9.3 ounces as well. These are definitely heavier than, I looked at some, like a Daiwa, it's like a Tatula LT series or something. So it's like a lighter frame that's supposed to be solid. I personally wasn't a huge fan. I don't like flimsy kind of spinning reels. I want something, I'd rather have a little bit more weight in my hand and feel like it's solid and feel like the drag components are solid. It's almost the same with a bait caster. I'd rather have the bait caster weigh a little bit more and feel solid than be like this plasticky graphite mess that literally I'm going to crack in like a month. So it feels solid. It's part of that hard bodies concept. It has the really cool spool again too. There's a little rubber band in there to kind of run your line through, and that it is that I forget what it's called, ABS spool, so it helps with wind knots and stuff like that, particularly made for braid. What I really like about this one and the Eliminator is they're sealed, I believe they're sealed drag systems, or they're made to fish in saltwater and freshwater specifically, so they're able to be used in saltwater, which just means they're more durable, because anything that can be used in saltwater that lasts, and I've read some reviews actually about both of these used in saltwater and they last, like, that's taking a beating. Because we guys on the inland, we beat stuff up, but freshwater, like, from a comparison of durability standpoint, is nothing compared to saltwater. Saltwater eats things for dinner. It eats my GoPros for dinner. It eats reels for dinner. It eats motors for dinner. Like, it's pretty rough. So it's actually made for saltwater, and it's, what would you say? It has, this one actually I think it has a waterproof drag system. The other one's like a sealed drag system, but infinite anti-reverse. What I really like though about this one, and I know you guys are going to be a little bit critical, is the Eliminator only comes in at, I think, down to a 2500 series. Now, I got the 2500 series in the BG, but it's available in a 2000 and then a 1500, I think it is. And I like those smaller reels. My buddy Jack, who fishes up north, he really recommend going with a bigger spool, like a 3000 or a 4000, because you get more line on there, you make longer casts, and then they're faster reels. These guys both are, I think, 5.61 speed rate or gear ratio on a 2500 size. He recommend going bigger. I don't like that. I mean, it's a feel thing for me, and usually when I'm fishing with a spinning rod or a spinning reel, I'm fishing pretty slow anyways, so I like smaller. It's more compact, I can kind of flick it around, there's less arm fatigue, I think, throughout the day. So I actually am looking forward to maybe even getting this in a 1500 size or a 2000 size, something super small that I can use on super finesse techniques, maybe like 6-pound test, 4-pound test, like crazy finesse stuff, but just super compact. I like that feel, and especially when it comes in like a super solid body like this. So the biggest difference, there's two differences that I found between the Eliminator and the BG. One is just like simple statistic or spec stuff. This guy's, I think, 5+1 roller ball bearing. This is 6+1. But the big thing that sets this guy apart, and it's the one thing that falls a little short on the Eliminator, you'll notice on some of the lower end spinning rods and stuff like that, you'll get a little bit of reel handle play. This one obviously doesn't have it. It doesn't have it. And I'm going to show you why. On the BG, it is a threaded on reel handle. So that means there's a thread stem in there, you have a cap on this side, and this actually screws on, versus on the Eliminator where it's a drop and then this actually has a little nut on it and you screw it tight. You tend to get a little bit more play on the ones that just drop in. With the ones that are threaded, that armature on the reel handle is super stout, and it comes back to that feel. Like, I love a stout feeling reel on my setups. Like I think the reel actually needs to be more stout than the rod, because I like little whippy, flimsy rods, but the reel needs to have some some solid feel to it, and that's what I prefer. So having that thread on for the reel handle to me is really important. It's a price point difference. This guy, the Eliminator, comes in, I believe, at $89.99 in the 2500 size. This guy comes in at $109. I don't know if it's worth, what is that, like 20, that's $20 basically, so 90 and 110. I don't know if it's worth $20, but I would probably lean towards it, because what happens too is when you have just the drop-ins that don't thread, that play actually takes a toll on the reel after a while, and you start kind of like dislodging the bearings and things like that. So it actually gives you a little longer life on the reel by having that thread on, and it just makes it feel super smooth, or super stout. But that's the other thing, these reels are super smooth, dude. Like I'm actually really surprised, because usually in that, like I've talked about in my Shimano $80 to $90 Symetra that I had. Now this is stuff from a couple years back. It never felt like this, and it wasn't this solid. So I'm gonna have to get some Shimano stuff to kind of compare. But these reels don't suck. Like I'm actually very pleasantly surprised. I kind of went on a limb to buy some Daiwa stuff, and I'm very happy about it. But it's a middle kind of grade spinning reel. It's not a Stratic, but at the same time I'm looking for something that's in that budget point at 80 to 100. 110's a little above what I was looking to spend, but it provides the decent quality feel, the solid feel. I can guarantee you that the drag is super smooth. It might not be Stratic smooth, but for me, fishing 8 and 6 pound test on spots and finesse fishing like that, it's smooth enough to get the job done. Overall though, definitely something to check out. This is the Daiwa BG, and then if you're looking to be a little more budgety about it, or more of a utility reel, that's the Daiwa Eliminator. Both of these are 2500 sizes. That's kind of a good general size to use in any situation. As I mentioned though, on the BG, it is available down to a 1500, and I think I might not get the 1500, but I'm probably gonna get a 2000 size for ultra finesse stuff. But that's kind of the review. If you guys got any questions about it, definitely hit me up. I'm happy to answer. I'm simply trying them out and using them and liking them, and I'm trying to find, like I said, that middle point where I'm getting quality, solid feel, but I'm not spending freaking $200. Like, I'm not doing that on a spinning reel. I have enough trouble doing that on a baitcaster. So check them out. I'll put links down to this stuff in the description box. Everybody say bye to Bog the Unicorn. Goodbye, Bog. Thank you guys for watching. Tight lines.